he told some of his daughters that they were now celestial resurrected and told them not to eat until angels feed them. These women were doing this, I think it was daughters or if it was just a group of women in general, but that they were not eating, and of course it didn't work. And the rest of the kids and people were saying, like, you have to eat something. Angels are not coming to feed you. And it was getting to such a crazy point of these things that there started to be rumors within the family that the FBI was feeding Warren Jeffs pills to cause him to be crazy.
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I grew up in the FLDS community. It is a polygamous group run by a Warren Jeffs, and I moved out when I was 18 years old.
I was raised LDS. Sam and I have been married for 9 years and have 2 awesome kids.
We do, and we are very excited to be back here with you today. We're going to be discussing the topic of whether or not Warren Jeffs believes that he is a prophet of God. Is he convinced that he actually is what he says he is, or is he just crazy?
We get that question a lot, and we have recently had, within this last week, a very close source to Warren Jeffs reach out to us that we're going to keep anonymous, but gave a lot of good insight into whether or not he is crazy or not.
Yeah, some information we've never heard, so thank you. You know who you are for that. We're going to be sharing that with you today. But before we get started in that, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you are interested in just listening, we do have our podcasts available as well.
And one other thing to do with these revelations, we had a lawyer reach out to us recently, and we are asking for anybody who is possibly getting these revelations themselves. We are looking for someone who is willing to witness. It can be anonymously as well. This lawyer did say that we can keep your name out of it, or that just the judge would see the name if that is preferable for you. But we are looking for someone who has received these recent revelations from Warren Jeffs and can testify that they are receiving them from him so that we can use these revelations in a current court case. So if that is something you're interested in, please reach out to us, email us at growingupinpolygamy@gmail.com, and we will get you in touch with that lawyer. It can make a huge difference for one woman in a battle to try to keep her children.
Yes, and many more to come. Yes. But really what it will come down to is, more than anything, a signature saying that you have received these directly from Warren or his source to you, and with your signature. And like Melissa said, it will be completely anonymous. No one needs to know your name except for the judge. That's it.
The lawyer was saying there's lots of ways to be able to keep you anonymous and to respect your safety, and that all comes first. But if you're willing to reach out and help in these legal battles, that is very much appreciated.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Getting into this, when this source called us, like I said, the only thing we'll really share about them is they are one of Warren Jeffs' biological children. And for apparent reasons, we're going to keep it quiet who this person is. But it was very interesting, this chance to get to talk to them, and they said that we could share all of this information because they said, I have a lot of clarification about some of the most recent revelations. If you have not seen our most recent video about these recent revelations, then please click the link above and get all caught up on what is happening as we're going into some of these details.
Yeah, in some of these most recent revelations, there's a lot of things that have already kind of been talked about, but now the biggest thing is, well, there is some new information, which you can go and listen to in that video, but now saying that these things are happening now, that's one of the big things about the revelations coming out, is it's not, hey, it's going to happen in 5.5 years like the last ones did. It's saying things are happening right now. And so it can be concerning, and it can also make us wonder what is going on and what does, for example, being translated mean?
Yes. And one of the most interesting things that we'll kind of start with is they had mentioned the fact that these, what seem like crazy revelations to us, this is a small amount of revelations given out to the masses. And they mentioned the fact that his immediate family, we get asked this question a lot about like how many wives, how many children are still there. We were told that about half of his children have left, but out of these 78 wives, only about 10 to 15 have left. And most of that is because of the fact that these wives are implicit in a lot of like the heavenly sessions and some abuse and things that are making them feel trapped in the situation. They don't feel like they can leave. They might get prosecuted for them. A lot of things where they feel like they're stuck being a wife because of the things that happened.
Correct me if my math is wrong here, but that means 60-something wives, 60-something of Warren Jeff's wives are still waiting for him to be released from prison.
Yep, and about half of his children.
And about half, yeah. Which I was kind of shocked, but also excited to hear that half of his children, because he has a lot of children, have left already. So it's, things are happening even within his own family. A lot of movement, but so many of those wives remain faithful.
Yes.
Or at least they feel that they're stuck in this, not wanting to admit that what they had been going through wasn't actually directed from God. Yeah.
And this person talks about the fact that their family specifically has been, kind of more in hiding and has been receiving hundreds and hundreds of these revelations. And that even though these few are coming out to the masses, they said they estimate, Warren thinks that about 5,000 people are still in the church and about 2,500 people are still super devoted. And so those select few people are getting them, but his family is receiving tons and tons and tons.
Yeah, that no one else will ever see other than his family and maybe very close extended family.
And the things that we're seeing in these revelations that we're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he's saying these things, is like the tip of the iceberg, that it's nowhere near the crazy lengths and the things that are in all these other revelations directly to his family. Just as some examples, they were saying that Warren was telling his family that people are hurting and torturing children in the world, that people need to be resurrected right now, that there's bad, crazy stuff happening, that they need to move to certain places. He told some of his daughters that they were now celestial resurrected and told them not to eat until angels feed them. And this source said these daughters did that. These women were doing this. I think it was daughters, or if it was just a group of women in general, but that they were not eating. And of course it didn't work. And the rest of the kids and people were saying, like, you have to eat something. Angels are not coming to feed you. And it was getting to such a crazy point of these things that there started to be rumors within the family that the FBI was feeding Warren Jeff's pills to cause him to be crazy.
Which, of course, Warren himself has claimed that never happened, right? Warren has claimed that he's not taking anything, that he's just, eating a normal diet and all these things. But
enough to where the family is saying
other people are concerned that there might be something that is making him say and think this way. Here's my thought on that, however. He's always, even before he was imprisonated, he's always said things that are kind of out of this world. The average person would look at or hear and think, what kind of crazy nonsense is this, right? So now take that person, put them in prison for how many years has it been? Since 2006, since they caught him. And all of these years in a prison cell, completely isolated from everyone else because of his unique situation. And what kind of crazy is that going to create, right? So, and he's just sitting there writing these revelations or he used to talk on the phone, but now that's been limited to letters and emails and things like that.
Yeah, we get that question a lot as well, is like, why is he allowed to even do these things? Like, why is he allowed to communicate with his followers and be able to say these crazy things? And this person did say for a while that was completely stopped. Warren wasn't allowed to have any communication. And then when COVID happened, all the inmates were allowed to use the phones more. And so they said over the course of COVID, Warren would call the family and talk for hours and hours and hours and just be rambling off the craziest stuff and these revelations. And everyone was just like, what's going on? And then just again, recently it became where it's all handwritten revelations again. And at the beginning, and this person also mentioned, at the beginning when people were going in and writing down the revelations and becoming scribes, there were women who were scribes, and they said that a lot of those women scribes left the church completely because of the revelations that Warren was sharing. He was continuing, if anybody has seen any of the documentaries about what was happening in the temple in these heavenly sessions, we won't go into it here because it's awful.
That information is out there, though, on all of these documentaries, like Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. What was the other one? Another one just called Keep Sweet, I believe. So
Yes.
there's documentaries out there that will discuss that topic.
Yes, but in these sexual, horrific heavenly sessions, apparently some of his scribes, and one in particular that this source was talking about, was writing down, and Warren was going through what was going to be happening in temples again, and more about these heavenly sessions, and all of the sexual things that were going to be happening, and they left not only as a scribe, but completely left the church.
Yeah,
and so
that's the point it's getting to, is Warren is saying, hey, yes, I'm in prison, but when I get out, this is what you have to look forward to. We're going to start these heavenly sessions, and this is what's going to happen in these heavenly sessions again. And to the point that someone that is so faithful to him that they are his scribe, or this person was his scribe, and that freaked them out so much that they left. That's saying something, because there are so many devout members that don't hear everything that Warren is planning, and they don't really know what's going on, and so they remain very, very faithful because they don't have all of the information.
Well, this source said that the scribes were saying we would rather be in hell. We'd rather go to hell than what we would be around when Warren gets out and for this temple work that's going to be happening, these heavenly sessions. We would rather go to hell than be a part of them.
And just so everyone knows, no one except for Warren and his followers believe that he's ever going to get out. Right?
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's not like there is a plan to release him. No. It's Warren is still claiming that if his followers pray enough and they're faithful enough, the Lord will release him from prison. That's where that's all coming from.
Yes, our source did mention that family members had reached out to the prison to make sure that he wasn't receiving any pills or anything like that, and he is not. So him being whether or not he's schizophrenic or losing his mind that way, there is obviously nothing driven by the state that's causing him to say these crazy things. It's all him. And they also let us know, because a lot of times we have wondered, are these revelations even coming from Warren? Mm-hmm. Are they coming from his son Helaman? Are they coming from other people? And this child said they are definitely coming from Warren. There's multiple ways that they can authenticate that it is. We've personally now just barely seen handwritten pieces of the revelation
and
where
signed.
He says, he not only like signs it at the bottom, but he says like author, man, I should have written it down, but he says this is so that you know that it's me, and signs his name along the side, like authenticating it himself.
Right, because there's been so many other men within the church that have stood up and said that now I'm supposed to be the prophet. Warren told me that now I'm supposed to lead, and and so there's been a lot of different groups that have kind of started, and so he is now trying to put an end to that by saying no. And he has these different witnesses. He has his own mother, and he has one of his sisters that they're always authenticating and testifying that this is true, and then they will write their signatures down as well. So they're doing a lot to try to keep the followers following him. And as far as the Helaman stuff goes, the latest and greatest information we have on that is Helaman is still very much involved in the church. He is still very much involved in getting this information to Warren's followers, but the information we got is that it's not Helaman's words, it is still Warren that is writing these revelations.
Yes, so like on the envelopes that the revelations are being sent to, like the return address is Helaman. So Helaman's the one sending it out.
Yeah.
But he is just the messenger for his father. Again, if any of you are willing to testify that you are receiving these from and can testify that it is Warren, please reach out. It can be very helpful in these upcoming cases of keeping children with their mothers or away from these compounds, which our source did also say was true, entirely true, that they are gathering people. When we talked in the Revelations about the mountains and the valleys, he said that is on the border of North Dakota and Canada, and that Warren's mostly gathering young girls. It's mostly girls. He said there's very few men.
Young girls too.
Yeah.
Which you said that, but just to reiterate, a lot of young girls are those that are being gathered up, and probably a few men to keep them all in line.
To have the priesthood holders there. But he said it's very few men. That. Very few men, very few boys. It's mostly girls. And so things like these lawsuits and these trials and things, any way we can help them protect these children from being taken, from going to these compounds, again, please just reach out that way. As far as why people are still listening, we have a couple things. One, our person was talking about the fact that they are really holding on to the end of the world, which is something Sam kept mentioning in our last video. He kept saying, if there's this end post, if there's this, okay, the world's going to end at this point, why not hold on till the end? You've already made it this far. What's a few more years at this point?
Yeah, it's, I mean, coming from that, oh man, unfortunately, it seems like in these high demand religions, groups, whatever you want to call them, the stricter and the crazier things get, the tighter people hang on, because there comes a point, and this kind of goes with Warren's wives that are still waiting for him. There comes a point that you cannot allow yourself to believe that it's not true, because if you do allow yourself to believe that it wasn't coming from God, you would not be able to live with yourself because of everything that you have gone along with because you thought it was the truth.
Yeah, because then your whole life would have been a lie. Everything that you've gone through, all the suffering, all the everything would be for naught.
And some of the stuff that Warren has forced his followers to do, it's not okay. It's not humane. It's not normal. Just makes me sick. Anyway, yeah, so it's hard to let go once you've held on for so long.
This source also did mention that Warren will say that he atoned for their sins. And we've seen that in other videos where he was atoning for the sins of the people and that the people need to be better because he's atoning. So he's acting like he is Christ, that his atonement is somehow saving the people, or he's atoning so that they could last a little longer because they're not righteous enough for the second coming. So all these things combined, there's no pill, there's nothing on purpose that is making him crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer, again, or not answer, but babe, do you think he is crazy or is he convinced?
Oh boy. So I think that he's crazy. Simple as that. But I think he's crazy enough to have in some way or another convinced himself that he is doing what he's supposed to be doing. I don't think that he thinks he is receiving revelation from God. No, I don't. But I do think that he is on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute basis, he is trying to convince himself that it is okay. What he's doing is okay for the greater good, or whatever you want to call it. But I think it comes down to crazy.
I think that he has to be, only someone that crazy could convince themselves that the things that he's doing are from God.
Right.
So.
And he admitted, like we shared in our most recent video of the new revelations.
He knows.
He admitted that he's a false prophet. He said, I have lied. I'm a liar. The truth is not in me. I am not a prophet of God. I have been leading you astray. He says those words himself. And then his devout followers, in a way, convinced him to keep, because once again, they have held on this long. They cannot allow themselves to believe he's not a prophet because of the things he's made them do. And so they, in a way, convinced him to stand up and take back his statement and continue to lead his people.
And he's almost in the same situation, where why go back at this point? He has nothing to, well, honestly, he has nothing to gain either way, because he's in prison.
He has nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I mean, at this point, he's just sitting there proud about the fact that he has so much control over so many people, even though he is completely out of the picture now, except for his words. His words and his revelations that he's claiming that are still coming from God, or so it's sickening to think about how much power he still has.
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to a lack of information. This person also did talk about the fact that, because we were asking, what made you decide? How did you know? How did you decide to leave yourself when you are a child of Warren Jeffs? That's a huge step. And they said that they had been told within their family, don't listen, because if you hear the things that our father did, you'll leave. They know. There are people there that do know. They know what Warren did, and they're hiding it from the other people. And that to me is just so wrong. And then our source said, and so I asked, I said, well, what did they say he did? What did they say Father did that was so bad that makes people just leave? And when they found out and had it confirmed and they knew that it had happened, they did leave. And we're so happy and proud of that person, because that still takes so much. Because there are still people who know the truth about what Warren just did, and they're still choosing to stay.
Right.
Because like you said,
they've come too far.
They've come too far in it. But the best thing is for those people who don't know. I mean, this is Warren just children we're talking about that still don't know or haven't heard what he did. That is the lack of information out there for these people, that they don't know. And the more people that can find out this information, the more people can realize what's going on and be able to go live happy, fulfilled lives, hopefully be able to leave, have families of their own, and be able to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this.
Yes, that's exactly why we do this. And Warren went to such lengths to convince his kids, his children, that he was speaking for God, right? Because I mean, for me, I think about my experience. I was across town, right, living my life, trying to work and do what I was told, be obedient. And every once in a while, I would see Warren in meetings and things, or whatever, just little things here and there that I would run into him at. And we would hear some revelations from him that were conveyed through our parents or the missionaries of the church or whatever. But I wasn't nearly as involved as some of the people, especially his own children. What we heard from our source is he was so good at convincing and hiding the secrets within his own house, and then the lengths that he would go to convince people that he was actually speaking for God and he was actually atoning for sins and things like that. Like, he was an actor. It was a big act, you know? It's just crazy to me to think about some of the, I mean, he would faint and throw himself around on the ground in front of his family to convince them that he was suffering and was in pain and was supposedly atoning for their sins. You hear about some of this type of thing in the documentaries during the heavenly sessions and that type of thing. But that's
it was happening other places as well. He was doing the same act
in front of his own family and who knows who else. And you know, so another reason why I think it just comes down to crazy, because he was putting on this big act all along.
If you would like to hear more about what it was like for Sam to grow up in polygamy, or hear more information from brave sources, from people who have lived through this and are in the process of leaving, then please like and subscribe. We are so grateful for all of you who are brave enough to share your story with us, share the stories with the world, and let people know what's really going on, and hopefully help those that are in a transition of leaving be able to heal and realize that they're not alone.
Yes. Thank you all so much for being with us once again. It's hard to talk about these things sometimes. I will admit that. It's not something that we don't want to talk about, these topics, but once again, thank you all so much for your support. We do need to get this information out there. We want to support those that need it, and we just are so thankful for all of the support we get. So thank you all so much for being here. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Talk to you soon.